What is Hammond Organ and Leslie Technicians Network? I wanted to show my rig. Need to back up. So this is, although this particular configuration was not the original configuration, which was basically an exercise in how to recreate a portable B3 rig, and this was back in the late 1990s whenever I was living in Columbus, Ohio, and I was playing in a hip-hop and R&B band, and I found that the piano did not work well in that idiom. So I put together my first B3 emulation. Anyway, whenever it started, this is a DX7 II FD with an E gray matter chip, and this is a Korg DS-8. And originally, the DX7 was the main keyboard, and it was down here at this level where the Rhodes was on a single stand, and the DS-8 was on a scissor stand, and it was set up like a B3 space-wise. So now that I've restored this 1977 Rhodes, I built this nice shelving system up so I could incorporate the Rhodes, and so now the DX is up here, the DS is up here, so instead of sitting down and playing it, you would really be more inclined to play it standing up. But the way that this rig works, which is interesting, is that this DS-8 Korg, which is a very old keyboard, and the DX7 II, which is old also but still great, the output of each, the MIDI out of each keyboard is going into a Digital Music MX8 MIDI patcher, and they're being merged together, the signals, and they go into my rack where I have a Roland P330 and a Korg SG rack for keyboard sounds, but my organ sound is the OB-3 Squared, this little box here with drawbars on it. And so the cool thing is that because the Yamaha DX7 has got the E chip in it, it allows you to split the keyboard into 8 zones, and each one of those zones can have a different MIDI channel. So the Oberheim has different MIDI modes. It will respond polyphonically on 3 different MIDI channels, 1, 2, and 3, the bass on 3, the lower manual on 2, and the upper manual on MIDI channel 1, which is the way that I have it set up at the moment. Or you can just have it and use it with just one keyboard. But because I can split the DX7 keyboard now because of the E chip, I have it set up to where I have bass on the lower half of the keyboard. I have lower manual on these 3 octaves. The split point is middle C, and the upper manual is played on the DX. So this is very much about as close as you can get to a simulated B3 experience without buying one of those much more super expensive XK3, XK5, BX3 unit with 2 manuals all built together. Well, you can do it. Pick 2 good 5-octave synths. The DX7 has leaf switches, and the DS8 has very good action. I got to where I'm much more comfortable gigging on the DX7 than on a piano. The way that it's set up now, so I have split with bass on the left. I'm going to turn my Leslies off because they're making noise. So the volume pedal plugs into the DS8, which is MIDI channel 1, which is set up control the volume of the whole unit. Hear my bass notes? And volume pedal with my foot, just like a Hammond. same sound on the lower manual and the upper manual, but I have percussion on up here. And fast and slow speed is by a pedal that plugs into the Oberheim, and you can use it with your foot, but now it's a little bit more convenient for me to use it with my left hand. So this is about as good as a B3 emulation that you'll get, and it's very comfortable and very natural to play. Volume pedal works well. So anyway, fun to play, sounds great, absolutely quiet. No hiss, no nothing. Now, if you're wondering about the rest of it, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown. I have to do some changes here. So the changes are going to be when I push a preset on the Yamaha DX7 II FD with the E gray chip, and I'm using it in performance mode. If I push preset 1, it throws a patch chain to the MX-8, which then throws patch changes out to the other modules that are in this rack. So one for me is Rhodes on the DX. fade the DX in behind it. This is Rhodes, and I call this solo piano. That's coming out of the SG rack. Preset number 5 is Rhodes and Strings. Bit rusty. That's why this is set up. Gig patches. This is the Roland P330 that's making this Rhodes sound. It's the same as the RD300 back in late. Nice strings separated so that you can play lines. As Jeff Lorber says, you need to be able to play lines with your strings. My upright bass is also from the SG rack. Here's a bit of Jocko. And still the volume pedal works on the top manual. If you need some bass, let's get something a little more interesting here. So how about a little Every preset you pick on the DX calls up a patch for it and a patch for the keyboard on top that are complementary of one another. So there are a lot of roads. That's a DX7, boy, and that sounds rich. And it's in stereo. It goes through a Roland SDE 1000 digital delay. Okay, so that was that rig, and it used to be the DX on the bottom. So now I restored the 77. This is the 1977. So it got integrated in, and of course the last piece of the puzzle is my KX5, which will do miscellaneous and various things in this capacity. One is playing bass, which is not such a big deal, but it is set up to be able to play this as a guitar, and you can access two different sounds. I have a pedal over here, getting close to being done, but this is the rig rundown. It's newly set up, and what the deal is with the KX is that it has this pedal, so I can pick presets here. So this says staccato strings. It's picking a patch on a TX-802 and an SC55, and I can access them over here. And by changing the MIDI channel, I can get to all of the sounds that I've got programmed in pairs. Alright, so programmed into that ground control pedal are pairs of patches that if you were going to strap on that KX5, you could pick it up and have access to a wide array of sounds. Now it's integrated into this. I built this little nice bridge. I can use it to trigger sounds to play like this, or I also, the way I originally had it set up, which was just to play bass, and it will do that. You heard that I had some, so I got two bass sounds recorded in this rig, a Jocko and an upright, so I wouldn't necessarily need this. This would be redundant. But I got bass set up, and I'm going to and what you would do is slide it down here. Anyway, a very wide array of sounds that has evolved in this rig, which is a culmination of 3 different systems. The original hip hop R&B B3 emulation with the 2 and the Oberheim module, and then here is the KX5. So you got a TX802, which is the same as the DX, and a sound canvas, and then the ground control picture programs. So when you play this for sounds, this will also play bass. Here is the rack for the hip hop rig, and here's the PA system that it's running through. There's my bass amp, and all of this is very nice and warm. Would work well on any gig, and right at the moment it's only coming through these 2 little Mackies, but that's, you got to admit, that's a pretty cool setup. So peace.